Hi, my name is Shane Pratt. Welcome to ISBA's virtual conference workshop. This is for charter schools and for their board members, business managers, administrators. This is charter budget from start to success. I would like to introduce myself, but I think my granddaughter does a much better job of explaining who I am.
And you.
What's my name?
Your name is Papa.
So, no greater calling in life than being called Papa. And I am a grandfather. I'm grandfather 2 times. So grateful for the opportunity to raise my kids and have them raise their kids. It's fun to watch. That's just a little bit about who I am. I know that today's session is all virtual, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to be a part of a little bit more of a lively discussion with you. Currently, if you're watching this, then that means that I have undergone a back surgery, and I am currently on November the 10th going to have surgery and will be recovering for the next 4 weeks after that. So I apologize if this maybe is not as interactive as you would like, but I hope to bring informative information to you so that you know how to develop your budget from start to success. Now, you may want to have your computer on. Obviously, if you're watching this, you have to, but have some tabs open because I will be going through some tabs of the Idaho State Department tabs. I'll be showing you different ways and different places where you get information from to get your budget set and ready. So with that, let's get ready. Okay, now that we've got ourselves introduced a little bit, I want to take you to the place where I find my files. Now, board members, you won't need to know where everything is, but by knowing some of the questions to ask your administrator or your business manager, just by knowing where some of this is, will help you understand the process, because there's definitely that line. The board member is overseeing, and the administrator, business manager, they are doing the activities that will get you the information so that you can make a best decision about the budget. So here we go. Let's start with the there we go. Let's start with the Idaho State Department of Education. And the first home page, I always scroll down to the bottom to find my documents. Under Public School Finance, that's where I start right off there. And in the Public School Finance, there's a lot of different tabs that you can use, but we're going to go down to Budget Forms and Information. And we'll use 2020-21. Click that tab open, and you have additional information that your administrator or your business manager will go to find documents that they need to have to produce your budget. I always start off with my Charter Support Unit calculation template. Click on that, it will download it. Wait just a couple seconds. This is just one of the many beginning areas. You could also start with some of your historical data, enrollment from last year, or if you're a new charter school, you definitely have to have a projection. So use the data that you used in your charter for your opening about what your enrollment may look like initially. But you want to be really, really close, because you can only have about a 3 to 4% variance on the your enrollment based if you're depending on your authorizer and the contract that you have under them. The Public Charter School Commission does evaluate how your variance from your enrollment and projections are. So you want to be kind of careful about how you do that. Rolling Hills is a K-8 school, and also in this I will not be able to give you a lot of high school information because I've not ran a high school in the charter world or a charter budget, but this will give you a good idea. So I apologize. I am limited in what I can do, obviously. So kindergarten administrative, you would start with your estimated fall enrollment right here. So if you put in the number, I'll use some of my numbers. We'll use 24. Oh, I need to enable editing. This is just a little trick. So if I say 24 students is what I have, and then I go grades K1 through 3, you'll add up your numbers for grades 1 through 3. For me, it's going to be is that 83? So let's go 83. I'm a K8 school, so grades 4 through 6, add up those, 95, and then my secondary, this is where you would put your high school numbers as well as from grades 8 on, or grades 7 and 8 on up. So I'm at 59. And then you would need to do your calculations of your enrollment. 95% of your 24. That would give me 23. And round your numbers up. It will not take decimals. I know it looks like it'll take decimals. It doesn't. 83 times 0.95. 79. 95 times 0.95 is 90. And 59 times 0.95 equals 56.05. Okay. And then you also do estimated ADA best 28 weeks, 93% of enrollment. So you take your same number, 24 times 0.93. And you round the number. That gave me 22. Got 77. And then 95 times 0.93 is 88. Make sure your numbers are right. And then 59 times 0.93 equals 54. Actually 55. I'm going to round up. 55. 56. Okay. Now that you've done that, there are going to be tabs down here at the bottom that you can use to look at what your total support units are going to be. Now, total support units are important in another template that we're going to use, but also in estimating your support units for your school funding. So support units is currently a part of the the formula for your baseline budget. And you'll see that we're going to use this number in a couple forms. So if I were an administrator and I was kind of guessing at my enrollment for the next year, if I over the summer know that I'm going to have some fluctuation of numbers between my spring and my summer, I may use my lower numbers as my actual enrollment until numbers really come in. Because if you estimate high and you have low numbers come in, your support units are going to be less and you're going to have to adjust your budget anyways. But if you estimate low and your numbers come in high, you have better support units than what you estimated. But also check your variance, make sure that you're not too far off. But that's always better because you estimated for less money and you're going to get more money based on your enrollment. So it's kind of a little bit of a guessing game, but if you play the game right and aren't too ambitious, you can be more conservative in your numbers and you'll be okay. But here's where this really comes into play, is that you can use these estimated support units, and it says you may use this calculation, 14.68. Now this is your current year without the best 28 weeks. But let's try the best 28 weeks. Okay, now notice that the number went down to 14.38. That's because the first number, current year without any adjustments, that's going with your full on enrollment that you estimated, your full enrollment. As to where this best 28 weeks without was at 0.93. So it's 93% of your full enrollment. I would use this calculation right here. I would use 14.38 as my budget calculation. All right? So that helps us know what we can do for our next template that I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, so this next template that we're going to use is called the Salary-Based Apportionment Charter Template. It's in the same tab and same spot as we got our Charter Support Unit template. Again, you'll make sure you click on Charter Template because we're all charter members, charter school in this session. So salary-based apportionment, go ahead and download it. Open it up. And here is where you get to use your numbers that you had from your charter unit. But you also want to have in this particular spreadsheet, be prepared for your teachers' salaries, and know their career ladder. And so those will all come into play. Let me walk you through the template, and then you can take some time to go through it with your own numbers, because I won't be able to use my own numbers here because it's a blank template, and you don't want to waste. I don't want to waste all your time by me building mine while you could be building yours. But here's where the support unit comes into place. You can use, if you're a brand new charter school, you can use your beginning number from the template that we just used. If you're an existing charter and you are preparing your apportionment, you want to use your first reporting period in the February support units of the last year. So that may vary just a little bit from where you're at, but we were at 14.38 was the calculation that we had. Notice there's some other numbers. In the yellow, you get to manipulate those numbers. In the white, in these formulas, those are all preset for you by Julie Oberly and the finance department. They're awesome to talk to. I have spent many times talking with Jennifer Pernarfar and some of the others. Let's see, and Julie's been great. Tim Hill, he's retired now, but they have been awesome about helping to try to explain this formula. And in some of the formula cases, you don't need to know why it is, but it is. Also, you will want to have your actual FTE non-certified, so your support staff, your EAs, your special title assistants, your special ed assistants, your support staff, your office staff. You want to have your FTE entered here. Then you want to have your salary for your administration team entered here. Your instructional salary, this is for your elementary and your secondary and your specialists. Anybody who you list on your IC data as instructional, you want to enter in their total dollar salaries here. And pupil services, which is your counselors, they would be entered here. And then salary for your non-certified, which would be using the FTE, and your salary non-certified entered here. There are many tabs down at the bottom, so don't forget that. So this is the main formula sheet that will be the last thing that you look at the end after entering in your data. So you enter in your administrative team and your index here based off of their years of experience and their qualifying college. So the years of experience down the left-hand side over the top is their college or graduate level experience. Sometimes you have to, and you can only use the data for what they have completed, not the year that they're in. That will help. But once you plug in a number, let's say you have 1 FTE here, you'll notice that the population starts to happen, and it happens automatically for you. It gives the factor index, and also it changes the numbers here on the apportionment sheet. So you start to watch that and you're kind of like, oh, okay, I can start building this. The next one is your instructional FTE. These are all those that you list on your IC data under instruction. Whether they're primary, specialist, or secondary, does not matter. They get entered here using specific data. And here's where you're going to need to know their career ladder placement. You want to know their career ladder placement. So this will occur on this side. And you start to enter in numbers. Let's say you have a brand new teacher. You got 1, and then you go through your career ladder placement, and you got some P2s. Let's say you have 2.5 FTE. You have 4 at P3. And you can start to see how data starts to develop. Enter in, and these are all things your business manager and your administrator should be doing. Board members, you don't need to play with this, but you just need to know how this all happens. And it is a lot of legwork to collect and make sure this information is correct. I'll show you a spreadsheet on the portal so that you can know your career ladder in just a second. But as you go through this, you start to collect the data and you start to put in some numbers. Let's say you have 5 teachers. You got a real veteran staff going on, and you're starting to build some numbers. Now, there's also, only applies to instructional staff with a professional endorsement, are these numbers for bachelor's and master's. So you bachelor's plus 24 and a master's degree. If you've got some of those, then you need to enter in those numbers, and you'll start to see additional calculations come in. Let's say we got 4 here, and I'm just making guess numbers here. But you start to see that the apportionment sheet really starts to calculate in numbers now. And your salary-based apportionment for your administration is here. Then you have your instructional salary-based apportionment here, your pupil services for your counselor, and your non-certified. And there's also calculations that will happen for benefit apportionment. And that will start to populate here pretty soon. But those are some things that this is really your bottom line number of your salary-based apportionment funding. It's not the only source of your funding, but it is a major support of your funding right here. There are additional, if you have an instructional, like I do have a counselor who's a doctor, has a doctorate, so I enter in this, and this one's really quite quick and easy usually for the pupil services, but then you start to see that the sheet has changed, and I've got pupil services now populating. Once I enter in actual salaries, then it populates the benefit apportionment, and that is on these cells right here. But I haven't entered in anything. You'll need to do that for each individual school. There are instructions of how people move on the career ladder. And you'll want to read these, administrators and business managers, because this tells you how people move on the cells. Now, we know that this year everybody's frozen on the cell movement from the State Department in what they're paying you. Now, you may, as a board, have decided, hey, we're going to move people up anyways, and you're paying a difference, so you're going to have to make up a difference based on what you're paying your staff. So there's actual salary, and then there's what you're getting from the State Department of Education for your salary-based apportionment. Those can be 2 different numbers, but if you're off and paying out more than you're getting in, you better have a gap savings to be able to do that. Otherwise, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble financially coming down the road. You may be able to do that for a year, but 2 to 3 years out, you may be short of funds. So you want to kind of balance these numbers out. And this is a board decision about with the administrator about where we are on salaries. So you kind of have to have that discussion. And it's not always an easy one, especially when you're freezing salaries or if you're having budget cuts. Those are tough discussions. But here's where you can make sure that you're getting the proper numbers for your salary-based apportionment. And let me take you to now the State Department of Education's, where you can find administrators and business managers. You should have access to your reports and staffing in the portal, the IC portal. And once you get inside there, you can look up reports on your staff. I'm sorry, my computer is working kind of slow right now. There we go. Woo! So you have IC edit reports in this particular report for staffing. You have funding formula reports, employment placement schedule, including summer school. Some of you may have summer school, and this may be already populated. This all gets populated off your IC report. Also, your edit reports, if you have to edit things, your statistical reports, your state reports, and federal reports. And also, administrators, just so you know, your assignment credential report that is to be turned in to Sinalaki by December is this one right here, the assignment credential report, to make sure that your assignments are appropriate and that you have certified teachers teaching all your classes. So that's the check. But this all personnel employment info V6 file is an excellent file to find out where the career ladder and your placement and your education of years of experience, all of that is right here in this file. I won't download mine just because it won't mean anything to you, and so, but you want to use this all personnel employment info file. Okay, I know that's a lot already. And you're like, which one? So you can use your all personnel employment info. That will help keep track of some things. So mainly these reports and this bad boy down here, what you're going to want to have taken care of, as well as your assignment FTE variance. This will give you, and your education and experience history. So if I click on this, it downloads to where I have to enter in specific value information. Okay. So this is an area you're going to want to explore in getting the proper information to make sure that you enter in so that you have this for your instructional FTE. So you get this correct. Because it's putting out dollar amounts. And if you get any of these wrong and you have more money than what you're actually going to get, that can be a shocker. So we're going to pause for right now. All right, I'm back, and I have a special friend with me. We're working out some of the questions to help us get through the rest of this presentation on charter school budgeting. Okay, let's see. Okay, you should see on your screen the State Department Public School Finance website still. I've shown you this, but there's more. What kind of things are we looking for here?
Oh. Mr. Pratt, I know our school's entitled. Where do I find my funds?
Entitlement funds, I think, is what you're referring to. Those entitlement funds are set for us in using our estimating state and maintenance operation funds. They're right here. Now, the school find all of these things in the budget forms and finance. They're all public access. Anybody can access these. So board members, you could too, but it is your administrator's responsibility to have these. Now the SDE application portal This portal is only accessible by school staff, meaning your superintendents and your business managers. So I want to make that clear. Oh, so entitlement money. So this is going to be in their estimating state maintenance and operation revenue. So let's go to that worksheet. Oh, there we are. Okay. So the number of support units. Remember that when you did your support unit calculation, you had a number that you were using and you entered it in your apportionment. So this one tells you which one to use. Best 28 weeks ADA units. So if we were to go back to that form right here, we would use the best 28 weeks. Here's the title. We'd use 14.38. And again, remember that we're also trying to use the lowest number possible. So let's get back to that other sheet so we can fill it out. So 14.38. This one does take numbers in. And this sheet has to be done after your apportionment's done, because you do have, notice it did a calculation right here. Your entitlement money now is $396,255 based off of a support unit of 14.38. That number gets multiplied by the total amount distribution factor per unit. So that's where that number comes from. But we had the salary apportionment number. Remember we were looking for that? So that is from your salary-based apportionment template. We need to go back to the template, and on this spreadsheet, there's the number right there. It's at the bottom of your salary-based apportionment. It is not your benefit apportionment number. It is this number right here. So I need to write these down. I'm getting older. I have to write this stuff down. 9, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you do not need decimal or decimal amounts. It won't take them, doesn't like them. So let's go back to our salary-based apportionment. Or I'm sorry, our estimating state. There we go. Salary-based apportionment number now gets calculated in 946 789. Oh, I wanted a lot of money. Again, you'll want to calculate out. And it has an administrator ad index that you get from your salary-based apportionment. So the administrator index is going to be found right here, 1.342. Again, I'm going to write that down, 1.34260. It does take all those decimals. It loves it. We will enter that number in. Administrative index 1.34260. Average instructional salary. Again, going back to your salary-based apportionment, and it will give you a average salary, and it said on that sheet for instruction, so I'm going to use that number right there, 48475. And again, these are mock-up numbers. Your numbers will be quite different, but I just wanted to show you where you could find them. Administrator's average salary, 48475. And then average pupil services salary. So we are going to, and you enter this average pupil service salary. Here we go. Pupil services average salary, $53,500. So I'm going to get reimbursed my salary apportionment about $60,000 for this employee, because I know I only have one entered in. So this kind of gives you an average. To be honest, I really don't know why they use all these numbers, but hey, that's asking for them. I'm going to give it to them. And then our salary base apportionment plus allowances from the SBA template. So we take this number 946. I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to paste it right in there. There we go. It's going to give us also a benefit apportionment that we can take off of our template. Salary base apportionment. Currently, I haven't entered in any salaries, but that number will be coming from right there, benefit apportionment, and you calculate that in. Okay. Once you have all those numbers in, it will tell you your total estimate state support. And this is the number that you'll be able to use for your total state support. But that's not all you get. That's not all. I have not had to fill these bottom ones out. Being a charter school, you don't have to fill these out. But you fill out your district name, your district number, and you send it in with your budget when it becomes budget time in May. And after your meetings in June. So that when your budget's approved, you also have these numbers to support that budget. Okay? That was fun. Any other questions maybe? I don't know.
Mr. Pratt.
Whoa.
Hello.
Hello. It's kind of scary.
Special distributions. What are those? How do they work?
Special distributions? I think of it as money, 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 money. No, it's not free money. But there is a awesome way to find out when you have more funds coming from the state. And it's called special distributions. On the same public school finance, scrolling down, you can find special distributions with coding suggestions. The business managers love this with coding suggestions because it tells you what accounts to placehold the money as well as where to pull the expenditures from. And these special distributions are once a year, but they come at different times throughout the year. We've been getting some special distributions already for this year that normally come in the spring, but because we didn't have some of the spring distributions, Julie Oberly and the finance department decided to have some front loading happening. And so it's been kind of nice to get some of our special distributions right now. So click on that one. And the special distributions worksheet, the reason why you do your support units and your ADA before you get to this is that many of the formulas to figure out how much money you're going to get for special distributions will be requiring you to have your support unit number or your ADA number. Looking at it so far, this is also for districts, so you kind of have to filter in and out some of the special distributions. Not all charter schools receive all of these special distributions. Advanced Opportunities Fast Forward Program, yes, that is something for charter schools with a high school and those that use the Fast Forward program. This is a calculation that you may need to use. I'm K through 8. I have not had to use that. Early Graduation Scholarship, I have not had to use, but that may be one that you need to calculate and figure out for your school. And right here in the green, it shows you the iFarm codes, the general fund codes that you would use for all of the coding programs of receipts and transactions related to this particular special distribution. Okay, bond levy acquisition. Don't have bond levies. Charter school facilities. This one's directly related to us. So it's budget $420 per enrolled student for an on-site charter school. And you take that number and you calculate it out, and that will give you your charter school facilities number. And I always write these down. I'm going to try something. I apologize if I make any of you sick, but I have to write these down, and I use the form itself in the special distributions. I get really ugly with it. is I'll print it off and I will create then all my notations on the special distributions so that you can make notes and highlight. And then I'm going to pick you up here. Whoa, you guys are heavy. So my special distribution numbers, I write them down on a dry erase board in the back of my business manager, and we visually look at those every day so that we know our special distribution number, and then we check it off when it comes in, and we check it off when we've done reimbursements if need be, and we double check ourselves against the forms and the numbers that we get. Sorry, I'm making you a little seasick. But those special distribution numbers all are part of that budget planning.
It's like the war room.
You really have to have some kind of a war wall so that you can be able to keep this stuff straight. Otherwise, you'll get lost in the numbers, literally. So you kind of have to put them up. It's okay to make them public somewhat, because you need to know what those are, especially you administrators. You really got to know what your numbers are, because your board's going to hold you accountable to those numbers and for spending the money. So there's college and career. Again, it follows your enrollment per student of college and career, student mentors, continuous improvement plans. This is the training for the district. This is directly related to school board. You're at ISBA right now. You have continuous improvement money that the state has set aside for you to be able to use this money to help pay for your training as a school board. And it does have to be budgeted in the full school budget. English language acquisition for English learners. Fund, exceptional contracts, tuition equivalency. I have not had to use this before. So again, some of them you skip over. But this gives you a thorough IT staffing. You can see this is based off of support units. So you need to know your support unit number in order to calculate this. Literacy proficiency. This one is for the literacy plan. And I'm going to go back a little bit. There are 3 major plans that your district and school boards have to approve. Literacy proficiency plan, your continuous improvement plan, and you also have to approve the college and career plan. So the college and career advisory plan. Those are 3 ones that you really do kind of get involved with in making sure that those plans are appropriate for your site and your school and your kids. Okay. Sorry to jump back, but master education premiums, if you have a master educator that you've hired or is on staff, there are specific numbers that you have to pay them in this master education program. Math and science requirements for high school. Again, if you're a high school, these are some additional funding numbers that you can use to fund your math and science requirement program. It gives explanations, has all the budget codes. National Board for Teacher Standards, Teaching Standards. Again, this is a national board certificate. If you have questions with this, Sinolaki is amazing. If there's any trick I could tell you about any of this budget is, if you have questions, ask. By not asking and not knowing, you set yourself up for failure. But ask the questions to the right people and you're going to get great answers. The State Department, I am blessed to know that when I call them, they answer the phone as if I'm the biggest district in the state. They treat me very respectfully, and they will treat you also. Their customer service at the State Department when you call is amazing. If they don't know the specific answer or you called the wrong person, they will get you in touch with the right person. It's really a neat art form that they have learned there to help us administrators out. But asking the question will help you learn. Not asking the question, you set yourself up. And I had to really ask a lot of questions. It was kind of a joke when I'd show up to some of the State Department's trainings. They said, "Oh yeah, Pratt's here. He'll ask a question." And that's usually how I am. If I don't want to not know, I want to be able to know and feel confident that I'm moving forward in the right direction. I'd hate to be walking that odd path and kind of like the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, when you come to a crossroads, and if you ask the cat, which way do I go, the cat will ask, well, where do you want to go? And if you say, I don't know, then it doesn't matter. But when it comes to budget, as administrators in your job and business managers, money matters. And so you really have to ask the questions and know where you want to go. Okay, professional development, monies, remediation, replacement tax, safe and drug-free schools, money. And I will also show you a couple other places, another place where federal funds comes into play, but school facilities, the lottery money, yes, charter schools participate in this one also, even though up here we had charter school facilities, we also get a benefit of the school facilities lottery money. And again, it's best 28 weeks ADA. So if you didn't do the support unit sheet in the beginning, you wouldn't know what that number would be. So there is kind of a linking process to this. School facility maintenance match, and yes, that's a code that we participate in, and technology for the classroom. Whew, lots of special distributions. This is why I call this the money sheet. Money, money, money. But you got to know your numbers if you're going to calculate these out. And if you have questions, they give also the names and phone numbers of the people to contact at the State Department for this. So I hope this was useful. What do you think?
Useful.
Useful?
Useful.
Okay.
Mr. Pratt, I know the feds are pretty generous. I have to fill out a sheet called the AIGCA XY
What,
something?
X-
CG.
oh, CFSGA.
That's it?
Ah! Yes. You too can be a part of the alphabet soup in the education world. Yes, this is again in a site called the IC portal that only administrators and business managers have access to. And it's called the CSFGA. It's the Consolidated Federal and State Grant Application. It's completed by the LEAs to receive federal funds in Title I, Title C, Title D, Title II, Title III, Migrant, and Title IV. So let's see if my website will... There we are. Ooh-wee. Okay, this is the 2020-21 Consolidated Federal, State, and Grant Application. This is money separate from the ones that we just talked about. So you have Title I program money. You have some of you you'll have Title II. This is federal money for professional development and best practices. English language learners, Title III. And Title IV is student support and academic enrichment. And so definitely these funds are additional budget numbers that are regulated by federal means, and you do have to use it as a grant reimbursement application. So you have to spend the money, and then your business manager will submit in the GRA, will submit for reimbursement of those funds to receive them back. But how do they help? Really? Title I definitely helps your kids that are working below grade level in math, reading, can even be some other subject areas, but the kids that are below grade level. If you're targeted assistance, you have different rules and guidelines than you have to follow than school-wide. School-wide programs have a little bit more latitude, but it's all regulated by federal funds and federal guidelines. So you will get a visit every year. You have to do an annual review. Sometimes it's done in a self-assessment, or it can be on-site. And welcome the on-site invites. Welcome that, because it teaches you so much about how federal funds really work, and some of the nuances that you're trying to do, they can give you some ideas of how to make it work more efficiently. Even with when you talk about what is the form? I'm losing it. What is the form that you fill out for employees' time?
The
Timesheets.
Timesheets?
Yeah.
Timesheets.
Time and effort.
Time and effort, yes.
It is regulated by timesheets is the vehicle, but time and effort is what you actually put in the grant application that says this employee will work X amount of hours in title, and you must report that on a time and effort sheet.
Yes.
So having those two knowledges and going, time and effort, because you just can't hire somebody and say, oh, you're going to be a title, and they never do any title work. That's a no-no. So you want to hire people with title intentions and have them do title work for students. I always think of it this way. If you hire somebody for title, they better be working with students. And almost always you're going to be okay. But if you have hired someone for title and they are not working with students, they're doing maintenance, they're doing computer work, they're doing your IT, do not pay them out of title. Okay? That just will help kind of keep things separate and keep that time and effort where it needs to be. All right. One advantage, and here's some tips to the CSFGA. Title II monies, supporting effective instruction. This is can be used to also support your best practices. So let's say one of the best practices is to have the use of, in a piece of technology, one-to-one Chromebooks. But your teachers aren't sure how to use them, and you want them to have some time to work together to develop a Chromebook plan. You could pay for your teachers to take a day off and work on that plan and hire substitutes. It's all a part of that plan so that you can get best practices in the classroom. You can also use it on spending for technology that are best practices. So you can use a little bit of money from the federal funds, but you have to follow strict guidelines with these. They aren't like your general funds. You don't get to lump them together. Again, you have to spend the money and get the money back later. So that's a big difference. So you better have the money in the bank before you spend it. Kind of that. But you will get a replacement. So for board members, you see, you always look at your budget, and in August it looks like you have a big fat budget, and you're like, whoa, we got tons of money, let's start spending. Well, understand that money has to last 4 months before you get another check from the state. So you'll be spending it down on salaries and other federal programs. You'll be spending that money down, and then you'll receive a little bit of a bump when you get a grant reimbursement back. So you'll come up a little bit, but then you'll keep spending it down, and then you'll get a paycheck. The school will get a paycheck from the State Department for their next quarter, and whoop, and you'll bounce up again. So there is budget fluctuation that happens all the time with school budgets. It's really sometimes difficult to understand that, but that concept of it's fluctuating up and down will help you from panicking and let you sleep well at night, because I panicked many a time. Title IV funding, you can use Title IV funding to transfer money to other funds that maybe you're short, and You could transfer some Title IV money. Every school district is given $10,000. You can transfer money to support Title I, Title II programming, or Title III, based on the amounts that are eligible to be adjusted. You may want, before you do an adjustment or something like this, contact the State Department and go through Kathy Gobby for instruction on this first. She will be able to help assist you, or anyone out of the federal programs, but please make sure you do this properly. Also, Title IV money is for student support and academic enrichment. And it has some guidelines here that tells you what those guidelines can be used for in the for the LEA. Here at Rolling Hills, we use the money for additional supports and enrichment programs that we have here at the school. 1 year, I did transfer money to support our Title I program because it got shorted and we wanted to backfill something. So I used some transferability to do that. So this is another source of budget money, but you have to be careful with federal funds, just so you're aware. So yeah, CSFGA. I'm glad you got the alphabet right. Yeah.
Mr. Pratt,
Whoa,
what's Mo, and why are there two of him?
Mo? Mo? Oh, Mo money.
Mo money.
More money. No, it's not more money. Maintenance of effort. I'm glad you asked that question because I've been in administration now for 25 years, and this caught me a little bit. Like, whoa, what happened? Where did I miss this? So you have maintenance of effort for special education. That's the first one that most people think of. And that is that you need to spend your special education funding money on special education students and the program itself. You have a maintenance effort threshold that you have to adhere to. And that is also in the SDE application. And it is in IDA Part B in the budget program. So when you look at your IDA Part B maintenance of effort, it's in this program for your special education that you have to use money for state and local maintenance of effort monies. Okay? Here happens to be mine over time. It's changed, but I'm just going to show you that so you have an idea. We have some people that are willing to help you if you are in need. Here is my name and number, business number, and my email address, my business manager email address, and our special education director email address here also. You may want to utilize this just to help you find out more about how this happens, but IDA Part B is additional money for special education, but it comes with it a maintenance of effort. You must spend certain amounts of money on special education every year, and you cannot go below that threshold. But the second Mo, the second Mo is all funds that you receive, general, federal. You must spend 90% of your monies for students and your programs. And that includes your staffing, that includes your funding, is what they want basically is they want you to spend the money you receive on your programs to make your programs run effectively. Yes, it's charter school administrators. We panic and we are the best at saving money. We can save money and we can spread money so thin that we end up with additional funds that we've saved over time. But you want to be careful of that. You don't want to spend less than that 90% of your general fund money, and that includes federal money. You don't want to be saving too much because it actually causes the red flag to be sent. The State Department contacts you and says you're not spending enough of your MOE. You didn't meet MOE. And so now you have to justify, one, why did you not meet it? Or two, how are you going to rectify that? Because it can withhold funding if you, because if you're not spending it, why are they sending it to you? So spend wisely and spend appropriately. So business managers and school administrators, double check your MOE at the end of the year before you send in your audit that you've spent at least 90% of that money in your programming and in your school for your best practices. Okay? It hits at all of us at different times. But that's a trick. That's a tip to you.
COVID, Mr. Pratt, COVID.
I got my mask on. I got
You
my
do.
mask on.
We both do.
Yay!
Tell us about COVID funds.
COVID funds. COVID funds, have they just not put, it's great we have them, but has it not put a little bit of an additional burden on us a little bit? I'm going to get back to a general screen. There we go. All right. So, COVID funds, coronavirus relief funds. The first fund that we got was the Coronavirus Relief Fund, and it came with some money. We had to write an application that told about how we would be spending this on a blended learning grant program. So our blended learning of how are we reaching our kids. We had to plan for devices, what we would spend on students, what we'd spend on teacher devices. Plan for connectivity, spending money for helping parents or families get connectivity, or peripherals or hotspots. You had a budget amount for that. Implementation of a learning management program. Now this is different than the ESSER money that you receive for a learning management program, but you could spend some money on teaching your staff. So professional development is in this blended learning grant program. So you also have additional money for special education, assistive devices, technology. And so you should be tracking your coronavirus relief fund money in a booklet and also through your business manager. You should be asking questions to how much money do we have left? Do we not have left? Because just a month ago we received additional funds from the governor through our coronavirus relief funds that these have to be spent before December 30th. You have to have spent your money before December 30th, or you do have to return the money back. You only need to track the last month's money. You only need to track your spending, and that's all the record keeping for that. But the blended learning program is specific, and it was written specifically for certain things that you would spend on your blended learning program to get it up and running and going. Then you have ESSER money, ESSER project money that came through COVID. And the ESSER money can help with social emotional learning. There is monies for that. There is money for learning management system and or professional development and getting that set up. And there's also supplies, additional supplies, anything COVID related that you need supplies for, they would be able to provide. Now, some of you maybe spent money on extra sanitizer stations, extra school supplies so the kids weren't sharing, extra furniture or lack of furniture, or a place to store stuff because you removed furniture out of classrooms and storing it someplace. Like we have a storage unit across the street that we had to purchase for rental, and that's COVID related. So all the funds can pay for that. That does not come out of general fund. It's tracked in a different way, but it can be tracked in your business management system, your financials, just the same, but under different codes. So there is some additional monies that are out there this year but you do have to spend it before December 30th, the coronavirus relief funds. And those are the two biggest dollar amounts. So it causes a little bit of strain because you're thinking forward, you're thinking out of the box, but yet you're living in today. COVID is a day-to-day moment, and it just stresses the crud out of you. I get it, and the decisions you're having to make are beyond my comprehension. I felt, like I said earlier, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I have never felt this inept or inadequate ever. I feel like a first-year administrator trying to live. I'm living the dream. Stay positive. Come up with something that helps your staff to stay positive, your community to stay positive. We started with Kindness is the Cure last spring. This year we're doing Achieve More. Achieve more what? And that's the answer that we're trying to answer every day. We're achieving more, trying to keep ourselves in-person learning as much as possible with our blended learning, with our learning management system assisting our remote learners. So, but it all takes money. And, but I will say money doesn't drive everything. Passion and heart does. You can have all the money in the world and you could spend it wrong. You could have little money and you could spend it in the right spots because you are passionate, you were forward thinking, you used the resources and tools, and you could make a program out of just a little bit of money. Now I know that budgets are not fun to talk about. Sometimes they're even downright difficult to have those discussions about budget cuts, but we need to make sure that we're utilizing our money for our kids' success and drive your mission home. You may need to reflect on what is our mission this year. What are we trying to accomplish? You know, my personal mission has changed a little bit. If you're watching this video, I shared earlier, I'm having surgery. I'm coming back after 4 weeks of being out in a COVID environment, and I'm trusting my staff. I'm trusting my esteemed assistant principal to take over while I'm loopy, and decision making still has to be done. And I trust them because they're as passionate as I am about doing what's right for kids. Use your money wisely. Ask a lot of questions. Learn what you can as fast as you can. And just do your best. Do your best. I think that pretty much sums it up. You know, you guys have a great day. If you want to talk refinance, that's probably a completely different subject. But I have refinanced our building twice. But if you have questions, I will give out 2 words: building hope. Give them a call first. They'll take good care of you. As a charter school, they helped us out. They got us on the right track, and we have been able to change our net position over 7 years. We've changed our net position by $1.2 million. And it's important that you get your budgets in line and do the best you can for kids and spend the money wisely. Boards, you oversee it. Administrators and business managers, you do the work. But hopefully this has given you something to ask questions about and given you a little insight as to budgets and how you can be successful in your school.